Hey there, and welcome. Did you know that your life insurance policy might just have a hidden feature? One that you can actually control? One that can put money right back in your pocket? Well, for a lot of people, it does. Today, we're going to unlock the power of something called policy dividends. Let's get right into it.
Just think about that for a second. The very same policy that you bought to protect your loved ones could also become a source of financial return for you. And this isn't some fantasy scenario. For millions of people with what's called a participating policy, it's a real thing. The trick is just knowing how it all works.
So what in the world is a policy dividend? Here's the most important thing to get. It's not like a stock dividend. It's really the insurance company turning to you and saying, hey, you know what? We had a better year than we budgeted for, so here's some of your premium money back. It's seen as a return of your own money, and that's exactly why it's tax-free. But, and you've got to remember this, dividends are never, ever guaranteed.
So you might be wondering, where does this extra cash, this surplus, even come from? Well, it really just comes down to three things. First, the company's investments did better than they projected. Second, their operating expenses were lower than they thought they'd be. And third, something called mortality, which is just a fancy way of saying fewer people passed away than their models predicted. When those things line up just right, a surplus is created, and you, the policyholder, might just get a slice of that pie.
Okay, so when you get that dividend, you have some choices. You're in the driver's seat. And to remember what those choices are, we have this fantastic little acronym. Now, I'll admit it sounds a little bit silly, but I guarantee you will not forget it. The acronym is CRAPO.
So what does CRAPO stand for? It's your 5 dividend options. You can take it in cash, use it for reduced premiums, let it accumulate at interest, buy paid-up additions, or purchase one-year term insurance. The best way to think about this is like a financial toolkit. Each letter is a different tool for a different job, and you get to pick the one that's right for your situation.
All right, so let's jump into the first two options. These are probably the most direct, the most straightforward ones. This is all about getting that money back into your pocket one way or another right away.
So your first option is super simple. Take the cash. The insurance company will literally cut you a check and mail it to you. If your dividend is $50, you get a $50 check. Easy. Your second option is to use it for reduced premiums. So in this case, the company just applies that $50 to your next bill. That $250 premium? Poof! It's now just $200. So the choice is yours. Cash in hand now, or just lowering your expenses.
Okay, but what if you don't really need the cash right this second? What if you'd rather see that money grow? Well, that brings us to the third tool in our little kit. With the accumulated interest option, you're pretty much just telling the insurance company, hey, just hang on to my dividends for me. It's basically like having a little savings account that's attached right to your policy, and it even earns interest. Now here's the really cool part. If you pass away, your family gets the death benefit from the policy, plus all the money that's been growing in that side account. It's a fantastic way to grow your legacy over time. Now hold on, because there's one really important catch here. We said the dividend itself is tax-free, right? Because it's a return of your own premium. But the growth on that dividend, that interest it's earning while it's accumulating, that part is taxable. It's a small detail, but it's a really important one to keep in mind.
Okay, now we're getting to the last two options. And honestly, this is where things get really powerful. This is where you can actually use your dividends to buy more insurance protection for yourself and your family. So this next option is called Paid Up Additions, or PUA for short. And for a lot of people, this is a total game changer. What you're doing here is using your dividend to buy a tiny little sliver of permanent life insurance, and it's paid for in full forever. Seriously, think of it like buying these little booster packs for your main policy every single year.
So what makes this so great? Well, it's a triple threat. First, this is the option that increases your total death benefit by the absolute greatest amount over time. Second, each one of those little booster packs has its own cash value, so your policy's cash value grows way faster. And maybe best of all, you don't have to prove you're healthy. No medical questions, no exams. You just get the extra coverage. It's automatic.
Okay, quick sidebar here, and this is super important to get right. Using your dividends to buy these paid-up additions is not the same thing as the reduced paid-up option you might see as a non-forfeiture option. With our dividend option, your original policy and its death benefit, they stay completely intact. You're just adding more to it. With that other option, you're actually creating a brand new, smaller policy. Big, big difference. And that brings us to the last tool in our CRAPO toolkit, the letter O for one-year term insurance. It's exactly what it sounds like.
You use your dividend to buy a temporary life insurance policy that lasts for, you guessed it, 1 year. It's a way to get a pretty big chunk of coverage for a very low cost, but just for a short burst of time.
So why would you ever use this? Well, here's a perfect scenario. Let's say you've taken a loan out against your policy's cash value. You could use your dividend to buy a 1-year term policy for the exact amount of that loan. That way, if anything were to happen to you before you paid it back, the term insurance pays off the loan and your family still gets the full original death benefit. It's actually a really clever strategy to protect your policy's value.
And that's it. That's the whole toolkit. 5 different options, 5 totally different financial tools. Whether you need cash in your pocket today or you want to maximize what you leave behind for your family, the choice is completely up to you. It's all about your goals.
So let's run through it one last time, super quick. Need cash right now? Take the C, cash. Want to lower your monthly bills? Reduce your premium. Saving for something down the road? Accumulate it at interest. Want to put your policy's growth into overdrive? You choose paid-up additions. And if you have a short-term need, like covering a loan, you buy a 1-year term policy. That, my friends, is your CRAPO toolkit.
You see, the big takeaway here is that a policy dividend isn't just some little refund check. It's an opportunity. It's this incredibly flexible financial tool that's just waiting for you to tell it what to do. So the only real question left is, what are you going to build with yours?